Hi everybody, Cami Baker here, Angel West, depending on how you've met me as I'm in that transition at the moment. Author of Mingle to Millions, The Art and Science of Building Business Relationships and Mastering Referrals. And today's Zoom is on the program that is coming up called Network with Confidence, 10X Your Business. We all want to know how to network with confidence, and of course we all want to 10X our business. And there's tiny little tweaks that I've made over the years that have exponentially helped me to do that. And so I just want to share really just to kind of give you an outline of what this looks like. We'll take about 45 minutes for the whole Zoom, maybe a little bit longer if we get caught up in some conversation back and forth. For the first couple of minutes, I just want to share a little bit about my story for those of you that I haven't met. If you can put yourself on mute, that'd be great.
Can you still hear me?
I can. So thank you. So what we're going to do is share a few minutes. If you haven't read my book or haven't met me out personally, I will share a little bit about that. I'll share a little bit about the content of what we're going to do in Network with Confidence, including lots of tips. If you got your pen and paper out, you can actually start to apply now. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about some bonuses that I'll give you for hanging out through the whole thing and what the program looks like. So when I meet people as the expert networker, you know, and standing there in a nice suit or in my blazer and my little shirt, fabulous, fierce, and on fire, however I meet people, it's really important that I have you all understand that, look, if I can do this, anybody can do it, because I did not come out the chute a professional networker. I am not naturally extroverted. I am not really naturally a people person. These are learned skills that I desperately needed to learn. And the reason that I needed to learn them so much was about 16 years ago, 17 years ago now, when I had moved from one part of the country to another part of the country, I knew no one. And the people that I did know knew me as a single mother that was broke as a joke, that was, hi Sarah, if you can put yourself on mute, that'd be awesome. That was in a place where I had made a lot of bad decisions and ended up a full-blown alcoholic, living in a mobile home. I had food stamps, I was driving a Hyundai, the whole thing, like really in a bad place. And one day I went to my daughter's daycare. Even with all that going on, I still had a day job. And I went to my daughter's daycare. And when I knelt down to pick her up, imagine a beautiful little 2-year-old blonde girl with big brown eyes. And when I bent down to pick her up, I could smell the alcohol in my own breath. And when I smelled that alcohol, I knew that one day I would be an embarrassment to her. And I knew that if anyone was going to fix this mess, it was me. I knew that I needed to do two things. I needed to put down the booze, and I needed to change my association. In other words, I needed to meet more people, because the people I was hanging out with were sitting on the bar stool just like I was, and they weren't getting me anywhere fast. And it was all my own fault. I take total responsibility for that. And that's one of the keys we'll talk about in the program, is taking full responsibility with where we are and what we're doing. And therefore, that's a very empowering place, because now we can move forward so powerfully. So I put the booze down, and with just a couple of months of sobriety and a stack of business cards, I started going to networking events. And I would sit outside of a networking event, whether it was a Chamber of Commerce, a BNI, a women's group, a morning, an afternoon, an evening, whatever it was. And I'd sit out and I would look in the rearview mirror and I would say, you can do this. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? And I'd put on my big girl panties and I'd go into those networking events. And what happened was I did all of the things that I see people do at every networking event I go to. Doesn't matter if it's Florida, Ohio, or California, or anywhere in between. You see the same people over and over. There's the people with the cards that are passing them out. They're giving them to everybody in the group. And they don't care anything about you. They don't really take time to talk to you. They're spraying their card everywhere. They're spraying and praying that somebody will call them. They think if they hand out 20 or 30 or 40 business cards that they've actually networked. And for some reason, they're under the hypnosis hallucination that they are actually going to have people calling them. Then there's also the people who are asking for a card. They ask everyone, hey, can I have your card? Can I have your card? If the little card carrier goes around the room, they pull out all the cards. If the cards are on the desk and tables, they grab the cards. And those people are squirreling cards away. So the first people are skunks because they're spraying and repelling. And the other people are the squirrels, and they're grabbing all these cards and they're squirreling them in their pocket. And the worst case scenario is that they actually put them on a mailing list, but they're never calling, they're never communicating, they're never building relationship. They're squirreling the cards away. And then there's also the people that are the sharks in the room. Hey, want to buy my product? Dun, 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 dun. Want to join my business? Dun, 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 dun. Want to sign my contract? Dun, right? Those kinds of people I call the sharks. And if we don't want to be a skunk or a squirrel or a shark, there's the fourth kind of archetype that I'll share with you in a minute. But I did all of that, sometimes all at the same meeting. Imagine this woman who's barely sober, just getting my feet underneath me, desperate, starving, hungry, needing to prove myself, needing to pay rent, have a 2-year-old that I need to feed, having made bad decisions, hanging out with the wrong people, and now I am just in survival mode. I was spraying those cards everywhere. I was grabbing everybody's card. I wasn't following up. If I did, I was following up in a shark-like mentality. Hey, sign my contract. Hey, join my business. Hey, 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 you know, like pursuing and aggressively chasing people. And the good news is that I did so much of it that I actually kept food on the table and kept the rent paid. But the bad news is I was alienating a lot of people that saw me as just being very aggressive. And what I was just scared to death. So when I go through the different scenarios of the program and how we can actually learn to network with confidence, believe you me, it's not because I was born with these skills. It's because I had to learn them the way anybody truly learns how to do something. And it's not really from college. Excuse me if you've got a college degree, but I learned it the good old-fashioned way, out in the trenches, going to hundreds and literally thousands of events. And what happened for me was this. As I was staying sober and going to these events, I started going to Tony Robbins and Walked on Fire. I did landmark education. I took classes on NLP. So I got all the background of the educational part of it, but I also was developing this network of people and just a real understanding of noticing body language and what was repelling and what wasn't, etc. So fast forward to about 10 years ago, I got involved in a business that was all about networking. As a matter of fact, because of my networking skills, I built a team of 10,000 people worldwide, and I personally recruited into that organization 131 people. And at the beginning of that, as my team was growing, people would say to me, Cami, how do you go to a networking event at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, meet a stranger? By that evening at 6 or 7 at night, they've met you out for coffee, met you at a stranger's house, and they've joined your business. How do you build rapport that fast? How are you being so confident that they want to talk to you, that they want to join your business, that they are, how do you follow up? Like, what the hell are you doing, right? So I started sitting down with people one at a time at a coffee shop and teaching about body language and just simple things about following up. And over time, I had 15 or 20 people in my living room sitting on the couch and on the floor and on bar stools with their notepad, and I had my flip pad, and we were talking about personality styles and all this. And little by little, I got up in front of rooms of 30, 50, 100 people. I've spoken to groups as large as 30,000. And I share that with you because I didn't set out to be a coach in this. I didn't set out to teach people how to network with confidence, build their business relationships, and master referrals. It's just something that kind of evolved. And that's where I am today. And that's why we are doing this program, Network with Confidence. And by the way that I got on a lot of those stages, if any of you are wanting to be a speaker or have a message that you're wanting to share in a more powerful way, that's another one of my entrepreneurial superpowers that I seem to have acquired over the years, is how to get booked speaking. Because here's the thing, when we are networking with confidence, when we are postured, packaged, presented in such a way that the product, which is you are the product, you're the product, not the company, not what you do. You know, in Steve's case, he does things with helping people with their back technology. That's all great. That is a product that he has, but he is the product. He's the product that people are buying into. And if you don't buy it, they're not going to buy it. So when we are packaging and positioning, I call it repositioning. You know, wherever we are in life, when we want people to start seeing us and perceiving us and receiving us in a new light, we're basically just repositioning. And it comes into how we're marketing ourselves, how we are networking. So who are we networking with and to? What are we saying? How are we saying it? You know, people ask me all the time, well, what do I say when they ask me, what do you do? So let's get into a little bit of the training. Let's talk a little bit about what this whole network with confidence, 10x your business, what this whole group program, group NetWebbing will include and what it looks like. Because when you start thinking about, well, gosh, how can I answer that question? What do you do? At the beginning, before I started to record, some of the people here were chit-chatting, and I heard one of them say, so what do you do? Guys, we know people are going to ask that. They're going to ask it in any situation. So let's just be more prepared for that. And when I say going into a networking situation, most people's vision of that is going into a chamber of commerce or walking into a conference room. In other words, we think of networking as a place we go or something we have on our schedule. But let me just be clear my definition of that, in that networking can be anywhere. Right now we're networking and netwebbing, as I call it. We're netwebbing. So whether it's virtual or live, whether it's face-to-face, hand-to-hand, belly-to-belly combat, as I call it, or whether it's online and we're doing a Zoom or whatever that is, how are we showing up to that networking event? And we know when we get to that networking event, even if it's just one-on-one, conversation one-on-one, we know people are going to ask us, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And before we can take the action that will produce the result that we want, we have to have the right mindset and the right belief. So first of all, let's not be what I call Pavlov's dog. So we all know the analogy, ding, 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 the bell rings, dog salivates. If you don't know the analogy, go look it up. But the dog salivates because he's been conditioned to salivate. He doesn't salivate because he wants to or because he's thinking about it. It's just what he's conditioned to do. He doesn't know any better. He's not even trying. It's just what he does. So we walk into a networking situation and we say, what do you do to people? It's just a pattern. It's a conditioned response. We're salivating. So the trick here is to be conscious, know that we are going to be in situations over and over every day, sometimes hundreds of times a day, if we're at some big conference, where we are going to have the opportunity to either say, what do you do? Or have that question asked to us over and over and over. So instead of salivating and just saying that question, first of all, we want to be more creative. We want to, before we go into that situation, be present, be postured, be packaged, be able to use our muscle and stop saying that ourselves and be more creative with the conversation we're creating with people. Frankly, I don't really care what somebody does. I'm much more interested in why they do it, or how they do it, or who they do it for. I want to know, what are you working on right now? Like, what are your projects you're working on? I want to know, hey, who do you know in this room that's a really go-getter, top-hitting, heavy, the biggest dog in the room? Can you introduce me? Like, I want to ask questions like that because that's way more engaging. It's way more fun. And here's the thing. You'll start noticing this when you take this on. When you walk into a room, and I'm sure John Morton can speak on this if we give him a moment to, because he's been working with me for a few months. But when we walk into a room, and instead of saying, what do you do? If we say to someone, hey, listen, I'm curious. Tell me something about you that has nothing to do with what you do for work or where you're from. Here's what you'll see. You'll see people do this. Well, I'm writing a book right now. They start looking around because they're searching their brain. See, what you've done is you've just engaged them. They are in robot mode just like everybody else. What do you do? Here's my 30-second pitch. What do you do? Here's my 30-second pitch. And when we give them something that snaps them into actually being present, gosh, what's something about me has nothing. Now they have to think. You're making them come back and be present with you. And then when she just said, I'm writing a book right now. Now we are giving them the opportunity to talk about something they want to talk about. Because trust me, they don't really want to talk about being a real estate agent or being an insurance salesperson or whatever that is. Hi, PK. Nice to have you on. If you can just put yourself on mute, please, that'd be awesome. So what we want to engage people, because when we do that, when they can now get that I'm writing a book, and they smile, they get a little endorphin rush, a little rush of serotonin, and they feel good. And even though consciously they don't know it, what you've done is you've given them a chance to feel good in your presence. So first of all, we want to stop being the one that salivates, what do you do? And then the second ring of the bell of the dog, ding, 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 salivate, salivate. Now we're in that event and the person says, what do you do? That's the bell for you to salivate. You're a boring 30-second blah, blah, blah. So we want to stop doing that. We want to get a hold of ourselves. And we want to say, okay, people are going to ask me 50 times when I walk into this event or when I get on this Zoominar or whatever, what I do. How can I be more creative? How can I be bold and inventive? How can I simply exercise my muscle and be interesting? And one way that we can do that, I'm actually going to ask you, John Morton, in 90 seconds or less, to share just a little bit about how working with heropups.com that you're working with gives you the opportunity when people do say, what do you do? When you do go to an event, that you don't have to be salivating. Oh, well, here's my plug for myself. It gives you something else to talk about. Can you share with us for just a second about that?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was at a fishbowl event last night, as you talked about in the book, and I did meet up with a couple of Blue Marlins, which is cool. And I didn't have my business cards with me at all. I did have some from Hero Pups. I don't have one right on me, but I'm sure. And and I talked to different people, and I said, well, I'm an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, but I'm not really here to talk about my business today. This is what I'm involved with. And the questions just start pouring out that people have. And they don't just ask, well, how does that work? Or they light up. People light up. They're like, wow, I really want to know about this. I've already gotten people from that one little event last night that are interested in helping out with this. And when I met with the founder of Hero Pups today, as I was leaving our couple hours that we met and got a lot of good stuff I'll tell you about later, she said, oh, by the way, I really want to know more about your business now.
Nice. And that's perfect. So just to stay on topic, thank you so much for helping me segue into the next part of this. So just to give you guys a little bit of background on what we're talking about, John is a client of mine. And when he came to me, solid businessman, solid footing financially, just wanted to be able to meet people in a different way, be more creative, more innovative, level up, level shift what he's doing so that he can meet people at a higher level of association, just like I needed to do back in the day, and not just vomit all over them about this boring whatever, but have something fun and engaging. And so what we're talking about is we came up with an idea, and it's a long story how we do it, but this is what I do with my one-on-one clients. How do you talk to someone's heart before you try to talk to their head, before you can expect their hands to come out? And so what he's doing is because of our coaching, he's affiliated with heropups.com. And now when he's out meeting people, when the whole what do you do thing comes up, he has something fun and engaging and memorable and heartfelt and heart-centered to talk to people about. The whole organization partners up veterans with pups, hence the name, Heroes and Pups. And there's so many other integral parts of it, but it gives him, like he just said, things that people are lighting up about. Oh, my dad's a veteran. That's awesome. Oh, I love rescuing puppies. That's great. Oh, I know a veterinarian that would like to help with that. Oh, I own a pet food store. What can I do to help? In other words, he is allowing other people to be able to step in and be a contribution with him. And so he's having a new way of positioning. Rowan, if you can put yourself on mute, please, that would be very helpful. So he has given himself a way to position himself so that people are getting to know him. And notice what he said. The woman who runs this organization, Hero Pups, has asked him to be the media representative to help them with all of their talking to radios and having stories written, et cetera, et cetera. So clearly he's gotten to know her. It's been at least a month now, maybe a couple of months. They've gotten to know each other really well, but he's never talked about what he does. So now she's almost begging him to talk about what he does because she wants to help him. He's helping her. She wants law of reciprocity. She wants to reciprocate. She wants to help him. And he hasn't even bothered to talk about it yet, to the point where he's so postured. He's like, that's okay, Laura. I'm here to help you. We'll talk about my thing another day. Right? And now she's almost begging you. I really want to know what you do. Guys, get really clear on this. When you're at a networking event and someone walks up and says, all right, what do you do? And we all hear it. We've all said it. We all know it. You've said it 8 times. You're bored with it, but that's what you do. Ding, ding, ding. What do you do? There's that. And then there's also getting to know someone, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes, or in John Morton's case, 2 months, and there's a reason for all of it. We are structurally, we are planned strategy. There's a planned strategy behind this. After 10 minutes, when somebody says, so I'm just curious, what do you do anyway? That's a different question. Mark, please put yourself on mute. So when somebody says, so what do you do, versus, so what do you do anyway? 2 totally different ways of being. This is part of what we teach in Network with Confidence, because we want people to be curious about what you do. We want them to be engaged and actually care what you do. So instead of practicing a 30-second elevator pitch, we will, in one of the modules, talk about how to answer that question, how to not say that question, how to, when push comes to shove and you are in an elevator and need to give your elevator pitch, how you can do it in a more functional way. So that's just one of the modules that we will cover. We are also going to talk about personalities. There's so many things to be known about personality styles. What personality are you? Who is the person that you are talking to? Why is it that some people we talk to and we get along with and other people we don't? You know, one of the things that my mentor taught me years ago, and you can write this down and ponder it because it takes a while to get it, but one of the greatest gifts that we can be to another person is to not be ourselves for just a few minutes, to not be ourselves, because who we are only resonates with the small population that is just like us. There are 4 distinct personalities and then any combination thereof. And for example, I'm such a driver. I'm such an in-your-face, kind of get it done, be brief, be bright, be gone, give me the facts and get out of here, just go get it done kind of a person, that I can come off very pushy, very arrogant, very bitchy, very crass, all of those kinds of things. So it's really important for me when I'm talking to an analytical person that I let them know what the facts are. They need to know the percentages and how things work, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm talking to a chitty chatty, expressive person who's really, really talkative, sometimes I have to bite on my lip just to stop from saying, look, you're talking too much. I just want to get down to the point, you know? So we have to understand these different personalities of people so that we can communicate with them in a functional way. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about another concept I was just thinking about today, which is plays all beautifully into networking with confidence, which is, are we playing to win or are we playing not to lose? Are we playing not to lose, or are we playing to win? And I want you to just sit with that for a minute, whatever that means to you, because playing not to lose and playing to win shows up in so many different ways. Are we check this out. Are we trying to not burn bridges, or are we always looking to build a bridge? This is a total different mindset shift in how we're presenting ourselves. Are we looking to not burn bridges, or are we wanting to build bridges? So networking with confidence has a lot to do with our marketing and how people are seeing us. And our marketing is all coming from a place of, are we playing not to lose, or are we playing to win? So we're going to talk about that concept quite a bit. We're going to talk about the concept of, are we doing things because we have to do them? Are we doing things because we get to do them? For example, everybody wants the results that networking brings. The results of networking are ultimately build impact, income, and influence in some form or fashion. We all want resources, relationships, and revenue. We are all looking to leverage our time, attract clients, and build credibility. These are all results that we're looking for. So everybody wants to know the actions. Cami, what do I say when people ask me, what do you do? Or all these different actions. And that's great. We're going to go over tons of skill set, but we're going to take it back to the mindset, and even before that, the belief. What are the beliefs we have? Because think about it. When we say, I have to go to this networking thing, I have to go to this networking thing. No, you don't have to go. You choose to go. You're choosing to go. See, when we say, oh, I have to pick my kids up from school, or I have to go to work, or, I have to make dinner for my spouse. I have to get home because I have to make dinner. We are playing the victim in that kind of language. We'll be talking about our language and the language that we're using. Think about that during the day. How often do you say, gosh, I have to pick my kids up from school? No, you get to. You have the opportunity to. See, when we reframe what we're saying and how we see what we're doing, it totally changes how we show up. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, I'm heading to a networking event. By the way, networking doesn't work because it's random activity. We NetWeb because it's planned strategy, but I use the word networking because that's what people resonate with. So I'm heading to this networking thing that we all go to. And I'm thinking to myself, do I want to go? I don't want to go. It's on my calendar. I have to go, et cetera, et cetera. So I start thinking to myself, wait a minute, hold on. You teach people about doing this with confidence and enjoying it. If you're going to do something every day, all the time, which we are all networking all the time, be really clear, whether you're on Facebook making a post, whether you're calling someone, whether you're showing up physically, even if you're standing in line at Starbucks, there's always an opportunity to create relationship with someone. So I'm thinking, if I'm doing this every day, all day, and everybody is, and if I'm teaching people that this is what we do every day, shouldn't I be looking at it as having fun? Instead of thinking to myself, oh shit, I got to go to that networking thing again. I'm going to go. So instead of thinking about it that way, what if I were to think, wow, I get to go. I get to go to this networking thing. I wonder who I'm going to meet. I wonder who's going to get in the sandbox and play with me tonight. Who can I play with tonight? I started thinking about it to such a degree of playing and having fun and enjoying it in anticipation. Even in my head, I'm human. I kept, every now and then I would think, I'd look at my schedule and think, oh, there's that no, wait a minute. I get to go that net, to the point where when people would ask me on Facebook or in a text message, hey, Cami, what are you doing tonight? I would say, I get to go play. I get to go play tonight. And people would ask back, what do you mean? Where are you going? I want to play. And so I mess with my own head enough to where I got excited about going. I'm playing the music and I'm heading out to the networking thing and I'm excited. Who am I going to meet? Yay. Guys, we can all do that. We can all, it's all a mindset. It's all in our mind. When we show up at that networking event late, sliding in sideways, open up the door, the beer cans and the baby bottles are coming out of the car. We rush inside because we're late. All right, I'm here. I told my boss, I told my husband, I told my business partner I would go, so I'm here, damn it. You know, and then we say to ourselves, okay, well, I'm going to hand out 10 business cards and then I'm going to go. You know, or I'm going to get, as soon as I get 12 business cards in my pocket, then I can leave. I've done my job. That's the problem. See, there's an epidemic of people that show up to these networking events like that. And then they're wondering, well, why am I not? Networking doesn't work. You're right. Networking doesn't work. NetWebbing works. Let's leverage our time. Let's show up present. If you're going to go anyway, let's psych ourselves out and have fun with it. If we're going to go anyway, get to events early. Here's just a couple of little tweaks I've talked to John Morton about and others. I've got a guy named Michael DeShavi, just posted something on Facebook yesterday. He lives in New York City. He's been a client of mine for a couple of years. He posted, got to a networking event 30 minutes early, as Cami teaches me. And once again, I'm at a networking event early and not even the coordinators aren't here. Like, people show up late for everything. But when you get to an event early, typically the coordinator is there, the speakers are there, the movers and shakers are there. That gives you a time to have quality time with those folks so that you can build that relationship. John Morton will tell you, if he goes to an event early, if he gets there 15 minutes before everybody else and the only people in the room is the meetup event host or whatever the coordinator of the event is, he got there early enough that that person is not overwhelmed by everything going on yet. He has a few quality minutes. He now gets to spend a few minutes just kind of chit-chatting and getting to know that person. Now that people start walking in, that guy or gal is now introducing him to people as they come in. Those people don't know if they've known each other 5 minutes, 5 years. They don't know if they do business together. They have no idea. All they know is Bill, that's running the group, is introducing them to John. And this guy's got this organization called Hero Pups and blah, blah, blah. Instant credibility on John's part. Instant credibility, because now, oh, he's raising his hand. All right, John, go ahead and interject again. You've got good stuff.
Sorry, I just had to add this in, and this is 102, like class 102 here, because when I got there early last night, I asked the person that I knew was part of it was at NHTI, it's a college, and I said, I noticed they were moving chairs and stuff around, and I said, where do you want these chairs moved to? And I just started volunteering into the effort, and he said, oh, do you work for the school? Oh, no, I'm here with the charity, you know, the nonprofit, and I told him a little bit about that, and that broke the ice, and then I was introduced to Blue Marlin pretty quickly. So
now when he says the words Blue Marlin, one of my sayings is, and by the way, if you go to my YouTube channel, Cami Baker YouTube channel, my whole book I did in video and then had the video transcribed to a book, which I can also help you do. If you're wanting to write a book, I can make it simple, do it in 2 days, video. But in the video, one of the videos is called You Cannot Attract a Blue Marlin in a Fishbowl. And the premise of it is, a Blue Marlin, if you imagine your ideal client, someone who's got money, someone who's got influence, someone who can open doors for you, et cetera, a Blue Marlin, someone who's not, broke and struggling and barely getting by and doesn't know anyone, but someone of substance. Typically, you're not going to find the Blue Marlin. In our analogy, the big, beautiful Blue Marlin's not hanging out in a little fishbowl. They're out in the ocean. You got to get out to meet those people. But we can be led to a Blue Marlin. Hence, my friend Ronald Koeman, who was on this Zoom. Ronald's actually quite the Blue Marlin himself, and I met him in a fishbowl. So it was 2 of us Blue Marlins swimming around in this little fishbowl, but we found each other. But what John is saying is he attracted that Blue Marlin because he was helping. See, the further up the food chain you go, the further up the echelon and the association and networking, you will meet people at a high level that really are attracted to helpers, to people who are willing to help and give back. So by John showing up and just totally humble and offering to help out, I've done it 100, 1,000 times. When I show up to an event early, even when I'm the speaker, I show up early and I help out. Because when I help out, it gives me a chance, while I'm arranging those chairs, I'm chatting with the organizer of the group. And guess who ends up getting introduced? Of course, now if I come in as a speaker, they were going to introduce me that way anyway. But as an audience participant, you show up a little bit early, and now you are being associated with that person. So thank you for sharing that, John. It just goes to show that when you practice these principles and put them into practice, it really works. So we've got about 20 minutes left on the call. There's so much more that I could go over, talking about the burning bridges versus building bridges, etc. What the program looks like is we're going to start next Wednesday. So a week from today, the calls are going to be for 3 months. So it's a 3-month group program. And I stretched it out a little bit so that we have time in between. I say calls, but they're going to be on Zoom. So we're all going to get to know each other. I am the creator of the worldwide NetWeb. And so we're creating that NetWeb of people, like-minded people that are supporting one another. So in the group, we're going to meet every other week on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Clearly encourage everyone to be there so that there's interaction and participation, and we can talk about your business and give you a plug, et cetera, et cetera. But if you can't listen to it, you can always listen back to the recording of the call. And so that starts on July 19th, and all the dates are sequential unless there's a holiday in there somewhere. And it's going to be on Zoom. There's going to be a Facebook group. And so in the Facebook, that's where you'll get all the updates. That's where you'll get the PDFs and the personality charts and all the ancillary stuff. For those of you who are wanting to speak, I'll be creating lists of places and organizations that you can speak at in your own backyard. I'll create those lists for everyone in the group, and I'll throw that in as a bonus. That's a $300 one list that I can throw in as a bonus. Another bonus is we just finished a class called 30 Highly Qualified Leads in 30 days in as little as 30 minutes a day. Just finished that up last week. I will be providing all of those Zooms videos to the people in this class because it's just more of a foundation. As a matter of fact, John, as long as you're being so generous with your time, tell everybody a little bit about that we called the 30, 30, and 30. What is something from that particular class that you've implemented that's been helpful?
Right off the top of my head, and I can tell you guys, we didn't talk about this beforehand, like we're going to put you on, have this, so this is totally off the cuff, edifying people. It's a big one. Like you bring out the best features and the best light that you can present another person in. So you're helping to give them or give other people that are meeting them the best first impression possible. And, that person's going to show that who they are over time, but they're going to start out with a very good first impression of you. So edifying is one really big thing.
You're right. We didn't talk about this beforehand, and I totally forgot to talk about the edifying. I'm glad you bring that up, John. I was just on the phone with somebody who said, hey, I know this guy that you should talk to. I'm going to pass off your information. And Ron Kuhlman's done that to me before. Hey, I met somebody. I'm going to introduce him to you. And I always say, that's so sweet. It's so sweet that you're just going to give so-and-so my name and you actually think they're going to call me. How sweet. There is a difference in, hey, Bill, you should call Bob, versus this process of edifying and actually introducing people in a professional way that serves so many purposes I can't even tell you, but it really raises who you are in this triangle of affiliation. Suffice it to say that edifying, here's the thing, network with confidence. One of the ways that we can be confident in our networking is that we are making other people feel good in our presence. Other people feel good in our presence. And when everybody in the scenario is feeling good, guess what? We have more confidence. We have more confidence. So there's so many different things that are swirling in this. Thank you for that, John. So the 30, 30, and 30 is going to be part of, you'll be access to that as well. And that was a 1997 product when I did that, and you'll get the recordings of all of that. So basically, the Networking with Confidence 10X Your Business is also a 1997 product. Most of us coaches have our baseline product for people that are just getting started with us, and this is my baseline product. In other words, it's for people who are ready to step in, step up, step out to a new way of being seen and received and perceived. in their marketplace. And that means something different to everyone. But suffice it to say, whether you're local, whether you want your business to be regional, whether you want it to be national or international, this is going to help for face-to-face interaction, for Facebook, like virtual interaction, any of that stuff, follow-ups. We'll be talking about email templates and voicemail templates. We'll be talking about how to use Facebook Messenger to reach out to people. You know, when you send somebody a video, it really gets people to interact with you. They actually take a lot more action than, so here's what it looks like. Typing is good because at least you're sending a message. Audio is better because now they can hear the inflection in your voice, and if you actually smile, they can hear that too, and you can leave them a voicemail. But this is best. So if you're using your whole persona, then that's the best way to communicate. And when you do that with Facebook Messenger or with bombbomb.com, which is another application that I have, etc., that's going to be part of what we talk about as well. And the great thing about having a live group coaching is that we're going to interact, and I'm going to navigate the group the way that you guys need it to be navigated. So if any of you have for those of you who do have a question, I'm going to ask in just a second that you unmute yourself. If you can raise your hand if you have either a question or if you have something specific about networking, because I'm going to ask all of you when you're in the group to pose questions to me, whether it's in private messenger and you don't want your name affiliated with it, or whether you put it out to the group and everybody, hey, Cami, this is something that's going on. Can we talk about this on the next call? That way, I'm always, because I promise you, this is how the universe works. If you're thinking it, so is everybody else to a certain degree. Like they're wondering, well, how, I really want to work on the what do you do question. Or I really want to work on what kind of, like we love what John Morton's doing with Hero Pups. How do we figure out what group we can use to network with? There's a lot of ways to use a cause that we're passionate about in a win-win-win so that we can use it as a networking. I'll give you an example. When I was doing my antique car shows, I started doing antique car shows and the proceeds went to the Live and Let Live farm. So John's got veterans and rescue pups, rescue dogs. You can't lose with animals and veterans, right? Well, I had antique cars and, looking with his dog. I had antique cars and horses. It was a win-win-win. So I just learned by default that as I was out promoting specifically the car show, because I wanted a ton of cars there, because my ego wanted a ton of cars there, but I also wanted to give a lot of money to the Live and Let Live farm. What I learned by default was having that flyer created a ton of conversation. That's why I've gotten so proficient at doing this. I learned that with that flyer, or in John's case, with that t-shirt on and that thing to talk about at the networking event, that it gives, everybody loved antique cars. Everybody loved the Live and Let Live farm. They had volunteered there. They had rescued a horse from there in that particular area.
Hey, you're not a bum.
So I can help you guys do that too. Ron? Let's mute.
Hang on. I'm here. Hello.
Okay, there you are. You got a question, friend?
No, but I just, if I can flick this, I'm sitting in a salon about to get my hair done and color and cut. But I just wanted to say that the other day was a great example. If you can hear me, I'm using my earpiece. The other day was a great example. You had sent me a potential referral, and it came in first as a text on Facebook. After that, you then gave you did a voicemail inside of it. You know, the first was a text, and you left a voice message. Then I followed up with a video response. So I thought that was great. It was a good example of it. But I have been very successful in business, and I've learned a ton from Cami, and I'm going to be going to this course that she's talking about. So I recommend everybody else on this call take this course as well. Even if you're in the salon chair. There's no excuses.
I appreciate you interjecting, Ron, because Ron is a professional networker, and I don't use that term loosely. Like 1% 1% of people I've ever met, and I've met tens of thousands, are professional networkers, and he truly is. So for him to be able to get benefit from my program is humbling and inspiring to me, and just goes to show even the best networker can learn. I mean, that's how we get good at anything we do, is by being open and open to receiving something new. So what Ron's talking about is, he and I've been practicing this because there was one day about a year ago, he said, hey, so-and-so's going to go to your website. And I said, oh, Ron, that's so sweet. That person's never going to go to my website. And they don't.
I remember.
I mean, unless you're a heart surgeon, and if they don't go to your website, they're going to die. Like, you know, I mean, really, people just aren't. But when you make these personal introductions, like John and I have been talking about, helping him with Hero Pups, etc., then people are just much more likely. So with Ron, it will look something like this. There was a woman named Michelle, actually, that he's talking about. Ron does a radio show. On top of being an SEO expert and online marketer and all that, he also does a radio show. A friend of mine, Michelle, was in the area, and she's from California, but she happens to be in the area. So I left a message. Ron, meet Michelle. Michelle, this is Ron. Ron is not only an excellent networker and an SEO expert and online marketer, he has a radio show that I think you would be awesome for, Michelle. Now, Michelle has Confidence Cocktails, and she teaches people how to have confidence on video. And Ron, since you are working with business people that need to incorporate video to be more professional and marketed, perhaps the two of you should get together. I look forward to hearing great things, and that was that. So did you have anything else to interject about that, Ron?
Nope.
Okay,
No.
just put yourself on mute, please. Let me just see what the question is here. Sarah is asking me, can you break down once more what the cost is, what all is included? Ron, put yourself on mute, hon. I'll mute him out. So the cost, $19.97. So it's a $19.97 product, meaning $1,997. And for people who want to make payments, they can do payments of $7.97. So in other words, you can get started for $7.97 and then make the last two payments over the 3 months that we're working together. And it includes the Facebook group. It includes open office hours that I'll have where I can answer questions in real time. It includes all the resources that we've talked about, where I'm going to give the 30, 30, and 30 class that we just talked about. That's going to be an additional bonus to it. And just basically all of this type of interaction and talking about exactly how we can network with confidence. We've talked about a lot of these things. This is being recorded, and I invite you to listen back to it. I can send any of you a recording of it. Stephen's funny because he's creating really professional webinars, and all of us have been on really professional webinars where there's all this PowerPoint and click here to join now and all these emails. I'm just so old school and old fashioned. I believe in face-to-face interaction with you guys. And if you have any questions and all that, I'll send you my PayPal to get started, that kind of a thing. Just keep it simple. But I will start up some more professional webinars. But the beauty of it is right now, it's not my team. It's not me hiding behind, an assistant. It's me with you working right now, one-on-one, to handle anything and everything that comes up. Steve, you took yourself off mute, friend. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, Google says the best, content is king. So it doesn't mean you don't have to have a beautiful website. You don't have to have all these best bells and whistles. If you're doing good content and you're giving value, that's the most important thing. So it doesn't, there's a couple of little tweaks I would do to the way we're doing this, but it's perfect. You're just giving out great content, and that is what's going to help your clients move forward.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. And let me just also say, Sarah, that's another huge part of it. Creating content. Most of you have seen all my Facebook Lives. The thing is, people are not putting the technology to good use. John Morton is not even using it as much as he could, but he is stepping into that. So one of the things is I will help you guys step into Facebook Live and learning how to repurpose that, because we can work smart or we can work hard. And so this is a way of working smart. So for example, I did a Facebook Live today that was about, are we playing to win, or are we playing not to lose? And I'll take that Facebook Live that was great content at the time and got engagement at the time, et cetera, as Facebook Live does. But also I'll rip it down to YouTube And now it's content that I can use forever. I can use it as an embedded video in emails that go out to my my email list and a drip campaign. I can use it as some kind of a training. You know, maybe I don't want to say all that again, and I can use it in a training platform. I can have it transcribed and put it in a blog. So to Steve's point, great content. You only need to make the content one time, and then you can repurpose that content in many ways. That's exactly how I made the book Mingle to Millions. I got a video. I thought about it for 2 years. I sat down and wrote and wrote and wrote. I was writing way too much stuff that was way too heady, way too in my head, way too complicated. Finally, I went to a conference and I learned a few different things. I got home. I got a videographer. I set up a stage in my house, a little thing with the background. 2 days, made video after video, and then took those videos, transcribed them, and gave them to my editor and publisher, and I had a book. So there's all these different ways of repurposing our content to work smarter than harder. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things I teach my clients specifically that is before you create content, like I have a strategy and already have, you know, begin with the end in mind. Create that content knowing that you're going to be repurposing it, knowing that you're going to be using that to create blog posts, to maybe create little snippets. I mean, think about this. The TV people are like masters at it, right? They create something, and then they create little pieces to get you interested in what it is that they're wanting you to watch, right?
Yep. So we call those sound bites. And not to interrupt, but I do want to get to Sarah's next question. We're almost out of time. Great content, Steve. I highly recommend any of you contact Steve. As I said before, he's helping me with my CRM system, and you can see his name right there, and he can help you if you're wanting to do that kind of stuff. So Sarah's asking, how will the 6 Zooms be broken down to provide the network with confidence, the 30-30-30, the email templates, etc.? So when we have the Facebook Live group, in that live group, which is private, I will be putting, like, if let's say that coming up next week, we're going to be talking about edifying, for example, then I can put some examples of emails that have been sent back and forth between myself and my clients, where I've been teaching them how to edify, and I can, through those, we can use those as templates. So for the upcoming class in the group, there will be PDFs and the templates and things like that. For the 30-30 and 30, I'll give you access to the previous group that we did that has all 6 or 7 of the Zooms that are already in there with the PDFs. So Sarah, I respect your questions. That means that you've got some solid interest, and you and I can also have a conversation afterwards. Suffice it to say that all the logistics will be taken care of. You'll get all of that information. It's just a matter of making, let me see if there was another question. No. It's just a matter of you making the commitment to joining the group. And the other thing, the last bonus that I want to throw in while I'm thinking about it is anyone who joins the group, I want to give you a 1-hour strategy session with me, which is also a $500 value that we can do before we start the group program next week. Now, the program starts on Wednesday, so we'll have to hurry up and get this scheduled. But what we can do is we can start specifically talking about your business, so that as you are in the group program, it will catapult you that much faster. We can talk specifically about your business, and specifically your hang-ups or your issues, or what you think is broken, et cetera, or what would help you the most, so that I can use your information in the group. You know, hey, Sarah and I talked about this. And, you know, of course, if that's something that you want me to share. Or I can just keep it generic. You know, I've talked with this person or that person, and this is what we feel would be great for the group. So there's more material than I could ever share in a 3-month program. I could do this every other week for a year and never cover the same thing twice. But I'm going to hit the highlights that I know are so beneficial for you now. All my one-on-one clients, like John Morton, are naturally in all my group programs because I want them to get the benefit of anything and everything, including the atmosphere of the NetWeb, of creating that NetWeb. You know, as I introduce him, say, to Steve, you know, maybe they'll come up with some way that he can use Steve's services in a way that that will help him in his business. I don't know what that looks like, but having the group as a team to work together is a big benefit of it as well. I found in network marketing, I learned that, you know, some people do what they do because they want to get rich and make a lot of money. Some people want to drive the fancy cars. Some people do it because they want to be a part of a community that's bigger than themselves. Some of them do it because they want to leave a legacy, whatever that is. I promise you that whatever it is that you're looking to get, you will get from this group, from the sheer nature of you setting the intention, paying attention, and creating the retention. So, he's in the chair and he doesn't know he's not on mute. The 3 pillars of my program overall, John and I were just talking about this the other day. I don't mean to keep harping on John, but John, you're so young. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for showing up. Like, thank you for being present. And that's something else, guys. We don't have enough cheerleaders. We don't have enough people holding us up and holding us accountable and raising us up. So I just want to raise you up for that, John. But the thing is that every aspect of our networking in our life, we need to set the intention. We need to pay attention so that we create retention. And in our networking situation, that means that we're going to set the intention. Who is it we're wanting to talk to? Who is it we're wanting to show up as? What is it we're wanting to achieve? Like, what is our intention? And then we're going to learn to pay attention to our body language, to our language, to what we're saying, how we're saying it, who we're saying it to, what are we sending in an email, how are we responding in a voicemail or an instant message back and forth, so that we create retention of the resources, relationships, and revenue. And in the retention, part of how we create retention is in how are we following up? How are we collaborating with people? Because that's where most people drop the ball. It's an epidemic of people that aren't following up. They aren't following through. They go to these events, they spray their cards everywhere, or they grab them and bring them all in, and they never do anything with it. So we're going to set intention, pay attention, and create the retention. Let me just see this last little thing here going back and forth. Yeah, Sarah and John are just having a little bit of back and forth. Guys, I really highly suggest write everybody's name down. John's coming up as, John, you may want to change on your Zoom profile. I don't know how to do that it comes up as John Morton, spelled Jon, John Morton, so that people can reach out to you just as a networking strategy. There you go. He already did it. Good man. God, he's coachable. See, you got to be coachable too, because now you guys can find him. And he's a great resource for you. By the way, if you have any questions about my coaching, about how the program will run, about any of that stuff, he's a great person to talk to because he knows and he lives it. And he's open to talking to any of you because it might be that he's looking to start a Hero Pups chapter in your town. There you go, John. You talked about wanting to do something bigger. You know, don't change organizations or grab another organization. Make HeroPups.com available in any city, USA. On that note, guys, I'm going to bounce. It was my honor and privilege and pleasure to spend some time with you. Any of you are more than welcome to instant message me if you have further questions. If you want to just get started, let me know. I'll reach out to all of you anyway, personally, because that's what I do. But I am always available. Here's the thing. I'm real, I'm raw, I'm relatable, and I'm reachable, right? I'm not hiding behind a computer. I'm right here. So reach out, let me know what questions you have. And I'm going to be posting this as a pre-recorded event to the people who asked for it. Talk to you later. Bye.